I'm Richard Flanagan. I go by the name of Dick. When I left the service, I was a radioman second class. And we had, some of the funny things, you know, being on Liberty with the guys, and had Marv Christensen and myself, we were in Bermuda. And we got separated from everybody else, and we were in a bar that we shouldn't have been in. It was off limits, and we're there, and we said, oh boy, and we're drinking like crazy, and we go outside, and we're almost surrounded by guys, Bermudans. And so finally we grabbed a cab, and we went back, and we didn't have a Liberty launch. So a Liberty launch is when you don't have a boat to go to your boat, you get it on a smaller boat, which takes you out to your boat. And we were on, and we got on with a bunch of destroyer sailors. And so Marv and I were sitting in the back, right? We got on first, and then all these other guys got on. And he is just giving them all kinds of remarks. Like, you know, you surface craft sailors, you don't know what it's like, and, you know, the normal for sub-sailors. We thought so. Now they all get off, and we get off. And they're standing around there, and there must have been 15 or 20 of them. So Marv says to me, what do you think? I said, back to back. So we got back to back, and these guys are surrounding us. And all of a sudden, this one guy says, Dick Flanagan. And I said, yeah. And he says his name. And I said, oh my God, he was a cousin of a gal that I was dating. And thank God we met him, because we would have had our butts kicked, I mean, to the no end. And in fact, we just talked about it. He remembered the incident as if it were yesterday. So there were so many other things that went on. I mean, with laughs and clowning around, and guys getting thrown, coming back with a little too much to drink, and another guy throwing him over the side. Horst Conway was a big guy, a big torpedoman. And we had a fellow who was, we had to stand chief of the deck, right, when we were in port. And this guy Horst comes in, and a little bit too much to drink, and this guy Tex from Texas, he says, get below, and he wouldn't get below, so he took him and he threw him over the side. He climbs back aboard, and finally he got himself a little bit sobered up, and in he went. But those stories, I could go on with them all day long. I mean, just, I remembered we were up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and in the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard. It's actually in Kittery, Maine. And we were having a overhaul, and they were also putting on a hydrophone in the bow. And it was $300,000, I remember that. Today it'd be probably $5 million. And so I came back, I was on Liberty, and I went home to New York, and I came back up, and I went into our sub barracks up there, and below the sub barracks there was a bar. And nobody was around. So I went down to the bar, and I had a beer, and I'm sitting there, and there were about 4 Marines there, and they were from the brig. So, and I could tell they were just out of boot camp, I mean, and they thought who they were. So I said, okay, I've had enough, you know. I didn't want to sit there and listen to them, so I go up to go to the barracks, and they followed me up, and they said, come on, step outside here a minute. So I stepped outside, and one guy was so belligerent, and the other three were kind of walking towards the brig. And, it's a big, Portsmouth has a penitentiary up there. So, anyway, the three guys come back again now, and this guy wants to have it out with me. And I say, hey, one-on-one is fine. So now one of the other guys comes out of the barracks. He had gotten there. And now he says, oh, no, we got 2 to 4. He said, we can kick their butts. He said, they're just Marines, and they're boots. So anyway, finally it didn't happen. And I said, I'm happy it didn't happen, I saw this same Marine in town about 2 or 3 weeks later, and he was with his buddies, and he just came over to me. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I had too much to drink that day. He said, I never should have started anything with you. And I said, thank you very much for apologizing. And so, you have to have a camaraderie, no matter what it is. And I don't care whether you're in the Marines or, the Navy or whatever you're in. And